welcome everybody. So thank you for being here. So again, just kind of go back to, old times that we used to
Can we
discuss.
stop for just a second? Well, I think we introduce each other. I don't think I know you folks down here at the end exactly. I apologize.
We're kind of mixed acid. We run the childcare centers here in town on the way to generation.
Okay.
We have the one across the street from Chelsea, the one right down here, the school age one, across the street from agency, or what's it?
Yes, and what do you guys call that one?
Lila School Age.
That's right, because I've talked to the girls before.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. And your name again, I'm sorry.
Vicky, and we do the kids area.
That's, and who are you, sir? I'm sorry.
And
You're Ken. Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you. And Marcia, I know. And I apologize. I know your name. Yeah. I know we've met before. Thanks, Katie.
I'm Jen.
And I'm gonna say, I'm going to do stuff.
I'm Eric Rogers.
Tim Waters. Mike Gunter. You guys know Danny Archer.
Yeah.
Ben.
Those chairs.
Len.
Find out, and you may say, are you a Ben?
Yeah.
Hi there, guys. Hi. I'm doing this here to play the third lesson to do
Introducing ourselves to each other.
I'm Mike, village president. School order.
We-
Waters.
Eric Rogers, village trustee.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you.
So, now what's your first name? Sue. Sue, thank you.
All right. Well, I kind of going back to requests that we've had in the past, just kind of keeping each other on board on not only financials, I mean, that's the big thing. Just number one is communication. Make sure we pull off good festival, just kind of keeping each other on track, checks and balances, that kind of thing, just as people change, times change, and events change. So people have had some questions, comments on just what the plan is for next festival and a little bit on the history of the festival where you guys are at over the past couple of years. But I guess I'll just turn it over to council and then we can ask questions, or do you guys want the board this committee to speak, or how do you want to go about it?
I don't have a particular answer. I guess I'll go ahead and just kind of start some things off. First of all, I want to say thank you for your volunteering. We know that volunteerism it is not easy. And Rick, I know that I've worked with you a couple of years ago on the festival. Certainly appreciate all the effort again, because a number of us are on DDA, Parks and Rec. We've been there. We get it. We know the time, and the passion, but also again the consumption of time, amount of time it takes to plan it and to actually do the event. I guess one of the things that the question arose is when we saw the cost from the village standpoint last year of how much with the financial issues, if you will, things like the lighting, garbage, police patrol. Those are just some of the things I can think of off the top of my hand or head, and the costs are rising. And obviously, due to the costs that are rising, part of our fiduciary responsibility is to make sure that we are spending the residents' money as best that it can be. Danielle, I'm hoping that you have the numbers of the cost of last year's. Okay, thank you. Have you guys seen this paper before? Okay. Daniel, can we get a couple copies of that, please? So when we saw that last year's event had a cost of about $27,000, $2,200 from the village's standpoint, that's when we needed to kind of say, okay, where are things going? What is the objective? I have been living in Blissfield for about 35 years. I know what the festival was before. I guess I look at it from a different standpoint now as being a board member, just making sure again that we've got from a financial standpoint that we are justifying our expenses to the residents. And when I saw the numbers, I should say we saw the numbers, from the 24 expenditures, that's when we just started to say, I think we need to just kind of meet to see, you know, what the game plan is, what the objective is. And as a team, what can we do to go forward with the, you know, with the event? We know that some things like, I know vaguely in the beginning, it was more towards the raisin. My understanding again, and I could be wrong on this with the history portion of it, is that, some monies were given to the village at one point for some electrical boards and things of that nature. That was a period of time ago, is my understanding. Again, I could be wrong on that. I just am looking from a financial investment for the village, where we go with this. I guess that might be the best way for me to say that. Understanding your goals for the festival, for the community, what the primary objective is for the community. If you've given thought to changing the format, I'm not saying good or bad, just wondering where you guys were as far as, this year's, the 2025 festival. So that's kind of where my perspective, and I think that a lot of councils is coming from as well, but you guys are certainly welcome to chime in.
We annually look at a lot of different things that affect our downtown area and how different events bring in different people. And that's, you know, like the Yuletide event brings in a lot of people into our downtown area. Some of the other events bring in a lot of people, and we are aware of the impact that the festival has on our village, not just from a financial aspect, but from the people that come into the village. Come in and visit during that time. One of the questions that I had, could think about this as we go through some of this, is what is do you have any, I don't know if you want to call it analytical data or whatever it is, about the number of people that are from the village that attend? And I know it's difficult to gauge some of that.
It's impossible.
It is.
We are an open gate.
No, it's.
We have to.
I
We're not like the Loudoun County Fair,
Yeah,
where we have gates
right,
and we can even count the number of people that come in.
right.
If people just swarm in from all directions and depending on where they park. And we have no idea, no way of counting. We can tell you roughly how many people ride the carnival rides, but that, I mean, that's just a fraction of the number of people.
And that's what I was wondering, if, you know, if the carnival rides, if you can get any data on the number of riders. Or if the
Well, it's
vendors to give me an idea of.
It's simple math. I mean, you just take how much we had, you know, the carnival made. Divided by ticket price,
Sure.
and you have the number. So I mean, it's pretty much simple math.
Have you been able to provide any of that simple math?
No. No.
I'm not trying to get smart out of that, true or not.
I don't have it. I don't have it.
When you say it's simple math, that's great, but just kind of give us a, not that you have to. I want to preface that this is not a judgment. This is not what this is kind of a thing. It's not meant to be that. This is meant to be a conversation so that we are all on the same page. And so I don't want to come across as being flip on that, but if we had a number to say, oh, hey, we know that last year we had, let's just say for 2,000 riders. There were 2,000 tickets or whatever. That puts that number with an event.
Well, let's see, figure. $9,000 for the festival last year.
That's after they made it the Sundays.
Yeah, and they able to give us a certain percentage.
I wasn't answered by that, so available, but I can clearly. Yeah, I think that just changes where the before it rained, so you don't have ticket sales,
Yeah.
and then
Right.
last year we did not, the carnival did not.
You're touching this much of the attendance of carnival riders. I can
Yeah.
tell you, because
Right.
me as a
Except for-
parent is only gonna allow my child to buy one wristband, and we might be there 2 out of the 3 days.
Exactly.
So that,
That's
you're
not,
not gauging the attendance by that sliver, not even close.
And I think we struggle with that down here too, knowing how many people come to Yuletide. I mean, you get a kind of a general number, but it's still difficult to attain. I didn't know if there was any surveys or anything like that that you folks have done.
And it's just by visual observation, we market to the people who sponsor with us that we're bringing more people than any other event down here, because that's.
When you market, what number do you guys use?
I mean, we used to say that upwards of 20,000 people came through, you know, on the 3-day period. Obviously, that would have been the times where there was carnivals that were acceptable that we could provide, and, you know, more people were able to afford their craft businesses and to come down there for the 3-day event and do it. So yeah, there hasn't been a good gauge on numbers since
Do you think that,
before COVID.
do you think since COVID for the last, let's just say 3 years, 2 years, would you say it's been 10,000 people? I mean, again, I know it's challenging.
At least. I mean, there's, you got firework night and you can't hardly walk through the park.
I mean, you can
So, I mean-
Laundromat, usually while the festival's going on, there's so many people in the laundromat.
We always use Maria as a gauge. The woman sits in this town every week of the year, the season's available. She brings as much food as she possibly can to Friday night, and she has never sold out.
They all sell out.
Never.
So the
Yeah,
Friday
quite a
night,
few
Friday night is
local
the fireworks
vendors.
night. So
So
the Friday night is obviously the big night, and that's where you're gonna get your big number, if you will.
Exactly. And every food vendor, I mean, we have pictures where the food vendors are lined up.
Right.
30 people deep, you know, I mean, on one side of the vendor all the way to the other side, all to the river.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I did talk to some of the bigger business owners before I came to this meeting and said, like, what would you gauge just in profit over those 3 days that you make more than any other Thursday through Saturday of the weekend? Andy Borcher, I caught him at home, unfortunately, without his books even in front of his face. He said $12,000 right now. So, I mean, he basically told me that nobody has asked him any questions about what his business does on those 3 days. Besides me, I'm the only one who's asked, and that he would rather not support other events because he knows that the festival brings the most profit to his business specifically those 3 days of the
And
year.
that's what we need to hear. I want to hear. I'll speak for myself. That's what I
I
want
mean,
to
he
hear.
told me you can go ask him at any minute, any of the council members could go talk to him at any time.
I have not
Same thing
talked
with
to-
Craig, same thing
I
with
got her
Rex.
today.
I specifically asked him, has anybody come and talked to you? No, you're the first person who's come and talked to me.
Well, that's
So-
because you're having this meeting so that we can discuss this and you can share that information with us. I'm not gonna go to Craig Bettis, because if I went to Craig Bettis and said, hey, Craig, I'm with the village and I'm kind of curious how much business you get for your, for your business during that weekend, it could be perceived as I'm doing something wrong, and I'm not gonna. I've done something like that before, and it did not go well. So I was not gonna go ask anybody in particular. I was hoping you guys would be able to provide that information, which you are. So that's wonderful. That's what I need to hear.
Your ATM that you fill, you said you,
This last year was up $10,260.
When you say ATM, are you,
I'm
what,
the
at the,
at the
TLC.
TLC? Gotcha, okay. That's where I knew you. Okay, the TLC, so the TLC ATM, you can clearly see how much is going through there.
State Bank also, I talked to Julie Gold.
Blissfield State Bank's
Yes.
ATM,
Yes.
gotcha. Okay. And then you're also saying you talked to Craig Bettis.
I'll talk to her.
And Bettis says that he could definitely see a big gauge in his, and that was 3 days while it's
Yes.
going on.
And he said especially, he says, when there's no beer tent, it's less, or if the carnival's not as good. But it's incredible. I know he's had trouble staffing before for festival weekend, so.
Craig has problems. You're saying the same.
Well, it can be difficult. Everybody wants to be at the festival.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I would- you guys-
Everything is going.
You know, you talked a little bit about before COVID, do you have, I mean, we all know that COVID just knocked the socks and the wind out of a lot of different things, especially a lot of public events. Do you have any gauge, because some of you have been on the committee for quite a number of years, probably going back before COVID. I mean, I'm not totally familiar with the history of all of you, but is there any, how much impact did that have on the festival overall? And I'm sure that 21, 22, I'm sure it's probably came back some, but I know we didn't have a festival at all in 2020, if I remember right.
Sure.
And then 21, I think we did.
We had a really good one that year.
Well, a few years before COVID, we had a no-show carnival, we had other issues that those, like, we were holding bake sales to be able to put a festival on.
Right.
We were doing everything we could do to keep it from folding.
And we've never come to the village and asked for $1. As far, we've never come and said when things were tight, asked for any money or any help. We held bake sales and we didn't have it. So,
But the village is paying.
are you paying, is this an over and above on those police wages and benefits? Is this over and above?
Dave, you want to explain that?
Or is that their about?
Yeah, I
That's a
get,
lot of money.
I get the hours from chief. Went to try to find my notes on that and I could not before the meeting, Marcia, so I'd have to touch base with him again. He was out today, but he sends me how many hours they worked and who was down there.
But what would there normally be in that time, or any other event you would have?
Right, so we
to-
take that out and it is higher than last year, which is why I tried to get that information, but again, I need to touch base with him.
Because we don't ask them for anything specific like that. And if they respond in a certain way, that's not on us. So, my feelings.
You got, as long as we're on that police subject, you guys have private security, which you hire. If I remember right, I remember seeing some security officers walking through the park and staged around different areas. I'm sure that's probably not cheap for you folks.
This much.
We had private security to man the Ellis Park entrance, the main entrance.
And we
They
did
got
have,
handicap parking, you guys try to park down the park.
and we had some other private security that we hired just as a visual.
Oh, it's a retired officer.
Well, we had some
Reserves.
security. They do security as a by business
We're always
2 years ago.
in conflict with faster horses as far as getting some sheriff's deputies down, generally we will. Unless faster horses is happening the same year,
They're not.
and then we can't.
They're not having.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah.
So, but their prices even still are going up.
Sure.
Year by year, insurance is going up year by year.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that at one of the meetings that I came over with you guys.
They wanted $10,000 this past year for insurance. We were able to get them down to what? 7,000 or 8,000,
Yeah, 8,500 this one.
which
Which
is,
is double.
that's about double. Because it was 4,000 or something. And that took a big, we just took a big hit.
I think they're the entire festival,
As far as,
in certain hours, it's from the sheriff department.
there will be somebody there.
Sheriff is hit and miss.
Yeah.
They haven't had the staffing to do it.
Yeah, even them, they're down in staff, they don't have as many deputies. So, they can't spare as many as they used to be able to.
So our local police, we just provide just because it's in the village, correct?
We don't request that.
We appreciate it.
We do.
I'm just asking. I can't imagine, I don't know Chief Crazy well, but I can't imagine that he would not have the forces there because of the traffic, et cetera, so that we could say, let's just pretend. Chief says, okay, they don't want us there, we won't be there, and we can take that amount off. I can't see him saying, that he will do that.
We aren't saying that at all.
No, but I'm saying, what I'm saying, Marcia, is let's just pretend that he said, okay, just very blank.
We appreciate the heck out of them. It's just, it's always been there. If there's a parade, they're always there for any parade. Memorial Day and
But this
homecoming.
is great.
Yes, homecoming.
Well, those parades, you have to see where we're coming from our, again, from a financial standpoint. We're talking $20,000 for the police. And that is what the village has to pay for those 3 days.
Since COVID, have you seen the trend of attendance go up? Just anecdotally, like.
The year after COVID, we had probably the biggest crowd.
Everybody wanted to get out and get their food.
And it was outdoors.
The lines for the,
Good.
oh my gosh, lines for the food trucks and stuff were winding through the park. And I mean, I've never seen it like that, and I still haven't seen it like that again, but
And I really feel like our attendance has been pretty good since COVID. I mean, considering everything. When you have a rain out day, you're not gonna see the people. I mean, we can't have,
No,
we
you
don't
can't.
control that, so, I mean. But on Saturday, we didn't have as big of a crowd because it rained all morning.
soon we like to go out to, Monterey County Fair, we like to go to Applonkin, we like to go to the Fall Festival. Just because it's something to do. But she doesn't like it because I get a hold of a bunch of flyers and I go to every stinking vendor. And all of those 3 places, then we go to Ohio. And it takes us forever to get through the whole place because I'm talking to everybody, trying to get them to come. It's a showing benefits because I've got several vendors already that have emailed me on applications. And,
We were quite much up on our vendor
oh, yeah,
revenue last year, thankfully.
so, I think just doing that over the last, I don't know, 5-6 years, that really, has really helped.
With new vendors and different vendors.
Oh, yeah. And increasing the numbers, that's one way we have to, we just have to get out there and advertise ourselves and, yeah, that's helped. We see a new food vendor and we encourage them to come out, and we've only got a certain number of spaces and a certain amount of power. If people want power, that's why we encourage them to bring generators to run their trailers, but spaces that are big enough to fly.
Have you been getting have you already been getting applications for this year?
Mhm.
And it's been at a quicker pace than in previous years or about the same?
I think this year so far is shaping up to be a little quicker than last year, a little sooner. Last year I did get a little bit worried that people were going to come out, and then we had I think the most we've ever had, in quite a number of years as far as vendors go. I mean, we really filled up Bachmeyer, and I was inventing places to put people, which is a good problem to have.
Sure. They charge you to come,
Oh, no, we charge them.
you charge them, and you make a percentage off what they sell?
No,
No.
we charge flat rate. For craft vendors, I charge $60 for all 3 days. For a 10x10 spot. If they want a 10x20, I just double it. I've got another category, which is home-based merchants, like your Avon, Tupperware, stuff like that. They don't have a brick and mortar. I charge them 100 for a 10x10. 10x20 is obviously 200. And then brick and mortar stores are 150. And we get a number of those as well. We do have nonprofits as well. If they're nonprofits not selling, they're free. If they're nonprofits that are trying to sell stuff to make some money, I charge them a whole $20. And then, we get some nonprofits coming out as well.
If they were selling food, it would be more.
Yeah.
The vendor, the food vendors. Yes.
If it was a nonprofit food vendor.
Ah, gotcha.
And if anybody wants to come and sell, cannabis, go ahead. We say nothing. We don't allow cannabis and we don't allow, I had one vendor that wanted to come and sell, knives. Made of just like lint in their city and stuff like that. And with that, I double checked with chief. He'd rather they didn't, and so we didn't have it.
What's your status with your liquor license? Well, what happened to the liquor license last year?
We don't hold that.
We don't pull it, it's through, it's through AMVets totally dropped the ball with that. And so we had a tent and we had tables stacked and chairs stacked up these lately. And
What's your game plan for this year? AMVET's gonna continue to do that or do you guys have another?
we haven't really discussed it. I don't,
Proposed to the groups to get together on the beer event, we would have posted it. Provided the tent, provided the insurance, provided the toilets, provided the music, and they weren't interested in us, so.
But it's a different kind of event, the beer on tap. Yeah, that's what the Parks and Rec. Yeah, they kind of got their own little entity
Yeah,
there.
they would have made
a lot.
a lot more money because we lived out of the bill, so. So we tried that.
So nobody for the beer tent this year is what I'm hearing you say.
And that
We don't know yet.
Okay. So they're, I guess, looking at no beer tent this year.
There could
It's time.
be somebody.
We haven't-
Yeah. we
That
could-
for sure. Okay.
Conversation that we're having.
Gotcha. And then how about your, I know it's challenging, the, what do they call, the carnival people? How's that gonna be, guys?
That's a nightmare.
That cannot be easy.
So my son-in-law and his family own one of the largest carnivals in the nation, and even they are getting out of a lot of them. The insurance is just ridiculous. Getting the help is ridiculous. The mechanics, yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just been awful. And then trying to get, I mean, last year we had, the carnival and they promised us A, B, and C, and we didn't even get those, which.
C.
Yeah, maybe.
It's better than some of the other places, but it still was not good.
That's not what you guys
County Fair that
anticipated.
didn't have any rides.
That's not the
None of them
picture that
have.
we were shown of what they were bringing.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you hear stuff, you never always know what went down, so thank you for.
So
It seems like that's an issue with a lot of them, is they tell you one thing and then show
they
up.
bring you
You're
another
dealing with circus folk.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
different world.
Right.
But again, the insurance, a lot of them,
Last year, so I mean, this struggle.
I mean,
Yeah.
my son-in-law's father owns a big thing on the boardwalk in Maryland, and he said his insurance went up to $4 million.
Asking us if we put one of his.
Yeah, he's taking his
Parks
rides
in our
down.
yard. I was like,
Cause he just says he can't do it. I mean, and this is the same thing we're fighting with insurance for the festival for 3 days, and then these carnivals are, they just can't afford it. And then the upkeep on them. So I mean, we're doing the best that we can. I've contacted probably close to 20 carnivals already in the tri-state, and I mean, they're booked or they just. Do we really want some of these individuals here in our village? And if I'm not gonna put my grandchildren on them, I'm definitely not gonna sit here and try to support them in our community. For the potential of someone being harmed.
Sure.
I mean, it's a difficult.
Sure.
I've been working with Rick and it's nuts. Now I know why he kind of gave me the luck. I don't- It was not fun.
When I took over, as president, I called,
How long have you been?
how long have I been president?
Okay. I don't know.
I've been on the board for 13 years, Sue and I haven't been president all of those years.
Well,
You-
when we had the no-show carnival, it was the next year.
It was the next year after we had the no-show carnival, I talked to 30 to 40 different carnival before I finally got Maple Leaf. The neighborhood is about 4 years. And then he retired.
They were consistent, I remember that, yes.
Yeah, and then he retired. That was sad. Then we ended up with what we had last year, and this year isn't looking any better.
Have you guys given thought to having a 2-day carnival? I'm just asking, a 2-day carnival versus for the insurance purposes? Well, I mean, you're still having the fireworks and changing the.
I don't think that would affect our insurance rate.
And
It doesn't make any difference.
they really want to come for a week, so shorter doesn't help us as far as.
It's worse.
I don't wanna set that crap up.
Or just 2 days. No, I hear what you're saying, okay.
The way they're set up is, and the reason they come to Blissfield, say on Tuesdays. Because they've got to bring everything in, and then they've got, by law, they have to rest for a certain amount of time before they can work on setting up things and before they can open. Reason I know this, I was on a fair board, so for quite a while before I came here. So, I mean, they didn't used to be that way, they could just come, set up, operate, tear down, go someplace else, but now there's a time period that they have to actually just kind of rest and decompress. So that's why they come early.
And I'm thinking, okay, less time would be less fine justice, but no, they want to be here for that length of time. And then insurance is regardless of how many days, okay.
You open the event and you pay the money.
Yeah.
Does it work the same way with the carnival? You charge them to come?
No.
You don't
No.
get proceeds or?
Carnival comes and we get a percentage of what they take in.
But it's hurt us for the last few years, because obviously we didn't have the rides. The rides we had last year were mainly focused at very, very young children. The teenagers didn't have nothing, we're looking at other alternatives for that right now. But that takes a big hit. I think between that and not having the beer tent, that, well, there are 2 major hits that we took last year.
Well, the only revenue that can be whatever it is that weekend, can be high or low, that changes from what we go into expecting, is the carnival. And the carnival, if it's good, it's good. And, but you know, we already know what we're gonna have as far as vendors. You know, there's no admission, so it doesn't matter how many people are coming through as far as admission. So that carnival and the money that comes in from the carnival is critical.
Right. But if you're not sure you're gonna have one, how do you guys do your budget?
We do.
We have what we have based on how much money there is to pay for it.
We don't spend any more.
I mean, as far as entertainment or
It sounds like you
whatever.
guys have the bulk of your money.
Sponsors
is
and
as well as, I mean, and it's not big money with vendors, but it all adds up, I hear you, yeah.
I wanna say something about the sponsors too. The sponsorship, and I've done it for many years, but I didn't do it originally when I came to the town. It used to be a lot easier to get sponsors, now we're up against everybody's coming after sponsors, it
Oh,
used
I
to
know.
be us and Little League. And now, you know, they'll, well, yeah, we gotta cut down, because we're doing this one, we're doing that one, we're doing this, we're doing that. So it's difficult. They're pretty loyal to us, our sponsors, year after year, but, that's been a challenge.
Does anybody remember back in the 80s when they greased a pig?
No.
Down at the ball diamond, you remember that, Mike? And then you signed up and whoever caught the pig. Got some kind of prize, did you catch it, Mike, or no? You're the one that's the little guy. Well, I was young too, Marcia, you remember that?
No. He'd be after us.
Yeah.
No, it was just the content.
They are, they don't like you to.
Abuse animals.
I'm just asking if anybody remembers.
Now, the dog,
Eric,
We
you
had a
run-
dog.
No, I do not remember that, Jim. You must be a little older than I am.
The dog event was really good revenue last year,
Yeah.
and it was well
How
received.
much
and it's
revenue
gonna
that
grow.
brought in?
You know,
Yeah, you guys handed it off. Right,
Yeah.
that's right.
I think it'd be fun to watch.
That's funny.
It'd be fun to watch while the people out playing, softball out there.
Maybe you just have an unscheduled event.
Yeah, also it's loose.
Yes.
The softball tournament has been the biggest ever in the last 2 years also, with more teams. So, you know, there's a lot of interest in it. It's not a lot of volunteers. And talk to.
The softball event is really a separate entity from us, though, we really don't,
Who benefits from that?
not us, we
Well-
nothing.
Except that they buy, eat our food.
Right.
The vendors.
Right.
So you already have this money in your account, the budget? for this
No.
year? So you're working on raising that.
This was projected for this coming year.
What can we get from TLC?
TLC sponsors our biggest fundraiser of the year, which is the golf outing.
You're all invited.
So the more teams we get, the more money we make, and that's our big fundraiser of the year. We do.
It's the Sunday after Mother's Day.
Yep, and Sunday between Mother's Day. Okay. So it's the 18th of May,
Is that the legacy?
still TV.
Okay.
It might be at one of the other ones.
Yeah. We're working with reps. Keeping community and community, so. But if not, yes, it will be at the legacy for.
I think it's it for me. Oh, one other thing. Do we have a volunteer down there just cooking hot dogs and hamburgers?
Last year, you mean as far as,
Just somebody local.
We do not have a hamburger dog vendor,
But the dog people,
Yeah.
they need
Dog.
way hot dogs.
yeah, they were.
it was sponsored by who?
State Farm.
State Farm?
And that stuff, even the food handlers licenses and everything else. And
Yeah.
You can't just go there and start and stuff.
We
Everybody
said,
knows.
like, we can't, you have to do this on your own, we can't do it.
We have the
And so
hardest
we
health
did.
department in Michigan to work with.
Well,
yeah.
You should address also about the food vendors. We can only have so many because.
Yeah, so I mean, electrical space, all that kind of stuff. I do break down pricing. If they're self-contained, they get a discount, but they still pay. Everybody pays. That's where we make a good portion of our money as well. But as Mike alluded to previously, it is one of the hardest health departments in.
Oh, yeah.
We used to have someone on our committee who was part of that, which made it a little bit easier.
How do you handle the various permits that you have to pull?
We don't have to pull any permits from the food licensing because they have to do that prior to
Right.
coming to the event. The electrical permit is pulled by our electrician. Rick takes care of the camping parking permit that we have to pull. And then depending on what kind of events we do, if we have to get a raffle license, I take care of that. In plenty of time because the state is super slow with that. So,
Cause I know like the camping permit that you mentioned, that comes back through council. and the Approval of the fireworks.
Fireworks. yeah.
What about the parade? Cause the parade too is, I mean, now, are you guys scheduling, for lack of a better term? Some people don't like this term that we use in here, but, a lot of the things that are done through the village, through the Parks and Rec and through the DVA and other programs are done with a work plan. So there's different things, like for instance, I help with Touch a Truck event that we have. We have a work plan that we've already started. We start basically almost at the end of the previous event to start planning for the next year, but we have a whole list of things that we go through and kind of check off in time manner as far as getting vehicles to come to that. That's a little different event than what you folks have, but we can start contacting people as early as we possibly can and we firm everything up. usually about a month and a half beforehand, we know exactly what's coming. Generally, we don't have to pull a lot of permits for that, it's just a matter of closing off the street in the village and that type of thing, but we have we have 2 years of it anyways, we don't have a lot of years of experience, but we have 2 years of data that we go back to of people to contact for all that, and we use that just to help with being sure that we don't miss anything, or that we look back at the previous years to garner whether what worked and what didn't.
It also helps with the volunteers as people come and go. The new person coming in can kind of reference those contacts and the schedule, that sort of thing. They're ugly, but they're very hard to learn from the get-go, but once you get the hang of them, they do benefit, and it's probably something we can pass on you. I'm not telling you how to operate your committee, but they are beneficial.
Because the information that flows, like Mike said, when you have new members and you have members that are leaving, just the transfer of knowledge is huge.
With the beer tent and vets, did you guys get any money percentage on the beer that was sold or anything there as well? So, okay, so I'm hearing you say you've got your golf outing, which is obviously that's good money. You've got your food vendors, your sponsors, and then you've got your other vendors. I don't know what you call them. You call people sell the trinkets in there.
Vendors.
Merch craft, maybe.
Well,
Craft and
I
merchant.
don't because they're not all craft.
Okay, so merch craft.
So you distinguish.
I don't distinguish, I just say vendors.
Vendors regard, okay, gotcha.
Okay.
So you got the golf, food, the vendors, your sponsors, and then if there's the carnival, that's when you guys get a percentage of that, and if there's the beer tent, then you guys get a percentage of that. On your worst case scenario, you don't get the carnival and you don't get the beer tent, how do you guys come up with the 43 grand?
Like Stu said, the one year that we didn't have a
We had
carnival, we
bake
had bake
sales.
sales and we
We
did
did.
fundraisers, so that we made sure that every bill was paid.
Every bill's
As
always
per
wrong.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, we as a committee of 5 people at that time put our boots to the ground and we did what we had to do to make up the difference.
To make up that difference, okay.
I mean, at that time, it wasn't $43,000.
No,
Inflation
but-
has been a
right.
real
Yeah.
kick in the pants, but
Yes.
we were short probably 3 grand and we kept on keeping on and made the money up and we did.
And do we have a number as far as our local merchants, what they make during that time?
I do not.
Would DEP have that?
Laura does talk to them about her events, specifically, but we've not with the festival. But it sounds like they talked about that earlier.
Oh, I guess. In Borcher. 12,000 right off the bat, you said.
And the ATM, there's that stadium, you got your credit. They're saying that definitely that they see the increase.
I mean, that's what, and I didn't specifically talk to Phil and Heather, but I can. But Andy said, like, that's where you don't think about, as Ken mentioned, the laundromat. It's like the standing room only during those 3 days. So, I would be willing to bet that if I did talk to Phil and Heather, they would come inside another number of what they.
So it sounds like
Our
those
increase.
peripheral businesses necessary, that saving would, not necessarily our downtown businesses, but the peripheral businesses.
Necessity things.
There you
Gas,
go.
bakery.
Gas stations are gonna.
Well, and
need-
I'm
Laundry
sure
mat.
McDonald's, I can't believe that
Gotcha.
people aren't
Salad
selling there on
barrels
their way
making
down.
money, I mean.
Remember
Yeah.
Frosty Boy during the
Oh, yeah.
so, yeah.
We do have people in the downtown for the parade.
I know people went 4 Keys because we talked to people that we knew that. When they were
Well, that's
here.
the point.
I mean, I guess I can't speak for the antique shops, but
No,
like
but-
Tony and B-Town and all that.
Right.
Especially during the parade day and the 3-on-3 tournament. That's kind of the downtown day, if you wanna put it into perspective, like.
Now, I know sometimes merchants will say, oh, nothing happened, as far as, no matter what the event is, they'll all claim they didn't do anything. So,
Yeah, the
I mean,
vendors.
having been in the business of selling advertising for years, and some of them just shut their doors because they don't want to mess with people. It's like, excuse me? But there's a lot of people in the downtown for the parade, so I know they're in and out getting coffee and.
Right.
Drinks and.
I got a story. So one year, it's been a few years ago, I was down there. And this, I was back when we still had the dinner train, this couple, they were from the Detroit area, can't remember exactly which town. They were sitting next to me, they were having a good time, and I started talking to the guy. He said, yeah, we were just in town for this, and we just saw that there was a festival down here, so we came down to see what was happening. He goes, we're having a good time, he goes, we're gonna tell, and they went uptown, went to the antique stores then. He goes, we're gonna tell all our friends to come to Blissfield.
They wouldn't listen, they were dancing.
Oh, yeah, they were dancing, oh, yeah, they were just having, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of, they were, couldn't believe they found us, and they were big city people, and they were just.
And we think that people, when they come for the festival, they may come for just the festival, they see how great Blissfield is. They come back for other things. You know. The organizations are invited to come and make money at the festival. It used to be the way most of them made their money from fundraisers, but. You know, the village wants to come down and have something and promote the events during the year. We'd love to have you down there, right next to ours, so.
Being a nonprofit, if you just wanted to come down and set up your booth and. You know, promote things that go on throughout the year as the village of Deerfield, I'm pretty sure.
We live in.
We live in Deerfield, sorry, the village of Blissfield, because nothing goes on in Deerfield.
Well, they are having something else.
Anyway, I digress. I'm pretty sure I know the vendor person that would probably give you a good deal on it, like free. Freeze that we're saving up for.
Well, it'd be. Just looking at the-
I,
I was gonna, okay,
$50 a ticket.
I'm glad you said no, because I was gonna put you next to our tent. But you mentioned karaoke, and I'm moving down to the other side, down by.
I don't karaoke, I don't.
Hang out, I agree.
Oh, sorry.
We get the tractors.
Have you thought about a plan? This just came as we were listening to everything that's being said with no carnival. Come up with ideas like what would you do without a carnival?
I'm working right now with several companies on bringing in like inflatables in like they do at the fairgrounds. So yeah, so I'm working with 4 different companies right now. They're putting proposals together for me to bring in the bungee cords, the larger obstacle course, obstacles, even if it's for our older patrons, a rock wall, just some additional things for that. So we are working with 4 different companies right now proposing for that, one of which is Kelly Inflatables, which is local. So I know them, they're family friends, so they're putting something together. There's another company out of Detroit, another one out of Ypsilanti working with, and so different, I'm pushing for the mechanical. I think that's fun if we could get the beer tent or something.
I used to have one. Yes, I have some good pictures.
I've got like the hamster ball, a lot of them, because I go to the jousting, because of liability reasons, they go for parties, they don't get festival, and I agree. That was one of the things, even when I took our daycare kids to like earlier, they wanted them to get on the jousting thing. As much as I would have liked to get on with a few of those children myself. There's a few.
You want the joust.
I did, I'm not gonna lie, I did. There's a few of them that I think you wanted to get on there with, but we, you know, we've got that working out with, like the bungee cords and, you know, the larger inflatables. We have 2 our stuff that we use in the kids zone, but they're for like small kids, you know, I have the teenagers who come, they're like, oh, can we do it? Like, that's just an accident waiting to happen. That could be someone else's liability because their equipment's more made for it. Mine are commercial based, but I don't want a bunch of 15, 16-year-olds in the same bounce house as a 4-year-old. Right. So we are working with that as an addition to have that, so they are putting proposals together for us. And I'm hoping to have those by the end of the month.
You know, if anybody remembers Kids Corner from several years ago, if you had a chance to take a look at it in the Ricker, or whatever you say that, pavilion, and you went and saw it last year, the difference is night and day. It now takes over from that pavilion all the way basically over to the river in that whole area.
And that's why we are kind of able to reinvent the wheel with this carnival situation, like Nikki said, moving towards the bungee cord things and the stuff for older kids, because the Dotsons have done such good work with our kids corner that even if we don't have a carnival, the younger kids are not gonna know the difference, because they have enough stuff to do right in our own kids corner. That, yeah, that now we have to decide, okay, well, if they're taken care of in the kids corner, and we can only get this one thing, we need to market that to our older type patrons who are gonna spend money to actually do those things.
And I will say, we are also, and I talked, we're like Rick and Sue, we go to lots of different festivals and we like to do those things. Last year we did include a new sensory tent from Ivy Rehab. And I spoke to a lot of individuals and they said, this is one of the only festivals they've ever heard. And I had one mom talk to me just in tears, because she was able to take her little one to that tent and have a little sensory project there for her while her husband took her other kids, and they didn't have to leave an event for one of the first times. So, I mean, those are just some of those little things that I think.
Explain that to me, the.
So with us over at childcare, there's a lot of children now who are sensory processing disorders or autistic, ADHD, and carnivals are very overstimulating for these children. So then you will have siblings who then lose out on some of these funds because then you have to leave. We now have this tent that's put in the corner, it's privacy, we have headphones, we have sensory bottles, we have soft things, we have things that bounce. We have a nice couch in there that even a mother who may need to nurse or pump has a private area to where their child
Trying to
can go.
eliminate some of that
That
overstimulation.
overstimulation, and then while the other parent or someone takes their kids over, or they can play in kids zone for free, and we're still watching them, and that other child can then decompress and take a minute, and then be able to enjoy again with their family again. So we've talked to a couple different, festivals and stuff, and they said, oh, that's a great idea, we should do that. And, Ivy Rehab was great, they brought out, we have a lot of our own equipment, obviously at the centers, but then Ivy came in, and they brought in a lot of stuff with us, we worked with Sprouts. So I mean, it was again.
Volunteer for a while.
Yeah, they brought in their own staff and volunteered, and that way when some parents needed to talk to someone, ISD came in, so I mean, it was nice to have those connections that came in, and was able to talk to, families if they needed it, or they just needed a minute, and it was nice, even, again, with my training, I could recognize some of those overstimulations, and I'm over walking, and I'm like, hey, can I help you for a few minutes? Let me take for a minute, and they're just kind of looking at me. But at that time, sometimes parents don't care who you are. They will give their child to you because they're overstimulated. They're just over. And again, I'm able, we had a few children that we were able to kind of bring back in that were just. Because nothing, you think a 2-year-old toddler on the floor having a tantrum is bad, try a 13-year-old who is a large sized child on the ground. And, Rick works with children like that as well, and it's. What I do for a living, I get beat up by toddlers for a living, that's right.
Minor high school level, that's
Yeah.
why I've been off on disability since November.
Yeah.
Because I was injured by a student,
Yeah.
so.
It's nice that we are
But
able,
it's that we work with, similar kids, so.
but it is nice that we, as the Blissfield River Racing Festival, are able to provide that not a lot of places provide that, and it is nice, that is a nice perk that we were able to market last year, and again this year.
Something that a lot of people don't know that aren't involved with the festival is how many people want to come back year after year as far as vendors and food vendors. They do well here.
Yeah.
And they may try to fight you down, but argue with how much it's gonna be, but they want to be here. That's kind of their business, is arguing about price, and we stick with it because we know they make that much, and
more.
And I can tell them year after year, we're still the least expensive festival in the county.
he keeps track of that.
You talked about that at the meeting that I came to a few months ago, over
Yeah, every year I go and check every festival,
considerably
check the prices.
reasonable, very reasonable for what we got. Speaking of like your events that you have, we obviously know that the fireworks are big. The other events that you have, and you had the dog races this past year, which seemed to be a pretty big hit. I was over there and watched probably an hour of it, 45 minutes of it, and there was a lot of people over there. What about the other events that you have down there that are to draw people into the park?
What was it, was there the duck thing?
Yeah, the duck race.
Yeah.
And those,
Oh, that's right, that's right.
I mean, the duck race has been done for a number of years. The tractor pull is another one, is that. I mean, how do you gauge how successful those are?
That's all separate entities. The duck race is done by the fire department for them to raise money for their
Right.
separate entity. The tractor pulls,
Heritage Fair.
we get a sponsorship and we pay the sponsorship to the antique tractor club because of the cost that they have to
For their insurance.
incur for their insurance. So those aren't
Or
our
that revenues
revenues.
for us.
It's just more to bring more people in.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
but they bring more people
Better
in.
rounded.
You know, Rick can.
Yeah.
Touch on Battle of the Bands, he's gonna try to bring that back this year, it's hard to do that every year because you just, you know, it's. Kind of gets monotonous, but we've done that before and we're talking about bringing that back this year. You know, the pageant's always a huge draw, that's a big staple of
biggest stage
the,
show.
yeah. The,
But that's its own thing too.
right, I mean, you're talking
Yeah.
all separate entities. Besides the Battle of the Bands, that was our event, we used to do Ticket Storm, but we had to get away from that because. Once again, you're all, you know, everyone in the village is going after the same pile of businesses and it's hard to get more sponsorship than you're already getting to pay the bills for your normal things. You know, they used to have the unboat race that got too difficult because of the water and you're having all these people who spend months and months on making unboats and then. It floods and you can't go into the water and everything's wasted again, so we kind of had to get away from that and. You know, so it's just depending
So many factors.
as the world
Yeah.
changes and everything changes, so does
And a
the
lot of
festival.
them, we have
Very
no
close.
control over.
Yeah,
I
very
mean,
close.
you're at the mercy of weather and sewage coming down the river from other communities and. You know, things we don't. You can't even plan for, you know.
What would you guys consider your primary objective of the River Raising Festival?
I would say the primary objective, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is to make enough of a profit where we can take a percentage of that and donate back towards something for the park. And either one, whether it be Alice or Bachmeyer.
And also to provide a safe family fun event that. is
That's-
family friendly.
Yeah.
Which is the.
Which is the biggest
That's
one.
my number one
That's the
suggestion.
main reason I like it, it's free and it's a lot safer than the Adrian Fair, like the crowd that comes to the Blissfield Festival is a lot.
Very
better.
different.
Yeah.
And that's where you get into a lot of different things, though, they're not allowing some of those things, you can make money on it, but then you also bring in the different crowd.
And we also, we're there. I mean, we have eyes on what's going on. I mean, we're not off someplace at our house. We're there. I mean, we're there until everyone's gone, basically. And we are observant and keeping an eye on what's going on. Something doesn't seem right, well, you know, we're gonna handle it. We're not just gonna look the other way and pretend it's not happening.
And there's no shifts. It's solid.
Yeah.
Yes, it's, yeah.
It's
And
the
it's-
most
and-
tiredest days of our year. as
Well,
a
and
city.
it's just not just those days of the festival, but it's the week
No,
leading up to
yeah.
that, where you're
Especially
planning where your
those days.
vendors are gonna go, and you're marking out camping spots, and you're marking out vendor spots, and you're putting up fencing, and I
Well,
mean,
I think I speak for everyone when I say when we get done, we always kind of get in a group and like. We did this again, you know, like it was amazing and the high and the adrenaline that you feel afterwards is worth. Every second that you put in beforehand and
The smiles on those
that's
kids'
why we
faces.
keep doing it.
Yeah.
I don't have to be here, I don't have to be doing this.
You know, we talked a little bit, like, if we didn't have the festival, what would we do? Well, you'd go camping another week, that's what we're doing. I mean,
A few weeks.
yeah.
We can't really do anything all through June either, so we're getting ready for it.
Basically from May on,
Yeah.
golf
The
outing.
phone's ringing at Rick's house,
The
constantly.
phone,
Katie,
12, 15 hours a day.
used to be in
We're getting
advance,
calls.
I don't know what
I
that
was
was
gonna say.
Free family.
Is that true?
That's true. Seriously, what the goal is.
Free fun,
Free, yeah.
family
Fun.
oriented event.
You guys have advertised that for years, you know, there's not gate entry fees, it's come and go, it's low cost, it's the family, it's community bonding, it's what can we do at low cost to provide for the community.
And it's the biggest event there is.
Yeah.
For what we put out, it's the biggest event.
By the least number of people, I think.
I mean, it really is, there are no more.
I'm already tired, we haven't even really started yet.
Bear with me, we're going on an hour and I don't want to hold you guys up, but, you know, again, we're talking all over the place, whatnot. And I do appreciate you guys being here, and again, I don't want your committee to leave with a bad taste in your mouths that, you know, we're kind of nipping at you, that sort of thing. It's a checks and balances, we're doing it, but, you know, people are very cognizant of their water rates, they're cognizant of taxes, they're cognizant of where the village is spending. So again, we've just had a subcommittee meet with the schools, utilizing their fields and watering, et cetera. So again, I think this council has decided we're really trying to just hold our, you know, our feet to the fire on making sure that communication is there to the public, letting them know where we're spending, what we're spending, doing it accurately and reasonably. So again, thank you for your time and being here. I know that the timing is probably a little bit ugly, but again, it's a good time for, you know, the planning stages of this year's festival starting to come to fruition. You know, I think we want to continue building that communication and asking for that communication. You know, going back to, well, what's in it for Blissfield? Obviously, a lot of us that have grown up getting excited for the festival. I still get excited. 6 years old. You know, you guys start to put the fences up in the car and you start to flow in and you get that, okay, something's gonna happen. And I'm 100% behind it. You know, some people aren't. So if you don't want to come and support it, stay home, that's fine. I'm 100% behind this festival. Again, it's going back to the small town knit, the community building, that sort of thing. We do it with DDA, you know, and a lot of the times we ask ourselves, you know, why are we doing this? Why are we wasting all this time or spending all this time, you know, trying to bring in new business, to bring in people, get people things to do, get people reasons to come down and visit or move here, etc. So again, you guys have a thankless job, and I 100% appreciate that. I always look forward to the festival. Let's see, going back to that, you know, like we alluded to, maybe we take some steps back and go to like the foundings. You know, I know Art was involved in a lot of that, or Weaver, that kind of thing. And what was the whole point of the festival? You know, if Art's involved, he's 100% behind Blissfield, but it's also what's going to benefit Art. You know what I mean? So what that was bringing people in, you know, you get the spin-off business, you know, people come to eat at the restaurants and they go to the gas stations. They go to, you know, Borchards or, you know, do their laundry, etc. So again, I think we need to remember the spin-off benefit that economically that we get from what the festival brings to the community. You know, these fantasy movies, things like that, you see small town, you know, everybody goes to the dance or you go to the festival, you know, it's that community bonding in the summer that, you know, we may be losing money, we may not be making money, whatever, but it's a benefit to the village to say, these are the things that make small towns successful in that knit and kind of, it just brings people in, not only just to have fun, but also bring ourselves as a community back together. So 100% behind it. How many committee members are actually on the board at this time? I guess would be one of my questions. This is all you have. Then right, okay. And I get it, you know, when we're thinking about, you know, the time of change, we talk about, you know, bicentennial, 50 years ago, the centennial, whatever, totally different, right? Everybody was uptown, kids weren't included with their phones, etc. You know, we had the jails and you had everybody was involved. And, you know, we're all fighting the same battles. The DDA's asking for sponsorships, Rotary's asking for sponsorships. You guys are, so we're continuously beating down the same doors and asking everybody for, you know, donate. What's in it for them? You know, you can only ask so much before people get burned out and tend to just walk away from it. So we all deal with that Parks and Rec, you know, you guys ask for the same thing. So I get the struggle there as well.
Sorry, I would be remiss to say we have a junior member too now.
Yes.
and
Oh,
We're
you go.
working on
Okay, good.
kind of establishing that as, bringing, yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, we just,
so.
Trying to encourage the younger people to be part of
So
it.
you go into high school, volunteerism, that kind of stuff, so we're also looking into that. and meeting that.
Get their foot in the door. Yeah, because somebody, when you guys get burned out, somebody's got to take over.
Well, I was gonna say, and here's something that I gotta toot the horn of the festival for the pageant a little bit here, that we will, as of this year, have given $200,000 in scholarships to young Lenawee County young women through their Miss River Raising Scholarship Program. And the girls raise that money. So,
I guess going back to, you know, the checks and balance things, the council, we need to be able to reiterate, you know, the benefit that
Yes.
we can pass it on to the residents, you know, we provide the Boy Scouts cleanup, et cetera. We provide the police, you know, you don't worry, I haven't mentioned the township fire departments that come spend the time, you know, but they also kind of piggyback off it because they've done fundraisers at the festival, which also brings more people in for you. So again, it's a give and take, but I think it's a win-win across the board.
as it was explained to me when I first came in, Mike, when I first came to town, is that it's a place for everybody to make money, all the organizations. We'd like more of that.
Yes.
The more people that are there. the more
Absolutely,
people
I'd
that
love
come
to see it
this,
grow, I'd love to see it spread into the downtown.
That's for the framework. And, you know.
And we
you've
try
got
to
something you're
encourage,
promoting,
you
bring it
know,
on.
other groups.
We
to-
deliver an audience.
I guess going back to the kind of the what's in for Blissfield, you know. Back in the day when it was very busy, very successful, et cetera, you know, like you said, you guys have done the electric upgrades, which benefited the vendors, it also benefited the park. That kind of thing. You know, I think we had some river cleanup, et cetera, that sort of thing. I guess it would be nice to see, you know, again, you can only do so much when you don't have the funding to do it or the volunteerism. But again, I think maybe that's kind of what Gwen is alluding to is, you know, what's in it for the community back, if we're gonna invest in that event, maybe we can get something back out of it that's gonna.
You
help
would have
benefit
this
the
year
community.
if we hadn't, if the beer tent people hadn't not shown up and the carnival had been better because we were in a good shape, we're in good shape coming into this.
Yeah, same in the beverage tent, you know, I mean, there all the time, you know. But, you know, but again, times have changed. B-Town used to be busting at the seams, you know, and you couldn't get in there afterwards. So is it COVID? What is it? What's changed the mentality of society and people? We're not, you know, the inflation's high, people don't have the money to spend the above and beyond. So the free benefit of our families can come and experience, have some fun, that kind of thing. You know, even, you know, I'm not a huge fan of carnivals. I think it does bring in a different crowd. You know what I mean? I think taking the step back, and even if we did have a carnival, which is probably a good money maker, but does that change the mentality of what the festival is and what some of the people that are the naysayers are? Do we focus more on like a community body event, kind of focus on things that support Blissfield as a community rather than bringing in riffraff or whatever you want to call it, you know? Again, it's successful. If we're low cost, you know, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's talk to you. I appreciate, you know, you say you go to Apple, then you go to Mayfly, et cetera. Let's learn what benefits them. Maybe we don't charge people rent for tents. Maybe that brings in more vendors and then we get more, you know what I mean? I don't know. I guess it's hard before the horse, but how is the most successful way to do it? Obviously, let's not reinvent the wheel when we have very successful for the fall festival, everything else that happens where, you know, let's use their ideas and what's their successes are to bring to Blissfield. Maybe, you know, we lost the Sunday, maybe we somehow look back to saying, how do we get through the weekend? You know, we kind of started earlier in the week with the carnival, things like that, and we spread it back into Sunday, you know, we lost on boat race, et cetera, but you know, going back to the basics, it's about the river, right?
It's
It's
hard
about,
to put it all away and one, on a Sunday and then go back to work. on Monday.
I missed the pontoon, you know, I mean, again, going on the river, that was, you're at the river is festival. Ride the pontoon boats, I know it sucks with the log jams and
The
things like
logic
that,
that
but,
they didn't want to do anymore because they were breaking
Mhm.
things, so.
and again, that's the things that, you know. If we get some kickback from the community, that maybe we can invest some into the river to clean up the river, protect the river, et cetera.
I love that.
You know, I don't know, I'm behind you guys, I appreciate it, that, you know, that those jobs.
You can say, not just you, but I think all council is
Yes.
behind, yes, I'm gonna say, it's not that it's us against you kind of a thing. You guys have definitely just having this dialogue have answered questions that I've had. You made some really good, very valid points. I didn't know. And that's what I was hoping that would come from this is so that we would have an understanding of. I knew you guys had a budget. I didn't know this much. You guys didn't know how much it cost us.
But we still request, and that's the things we haven't gotten, I think that's part of the problem, part of the, maybe the sticking point of council is, you know, we've asked for this communication, you know what I mean? And it always seems very rushed at the end, like, okay, we need this permit, we need this, we need that, you know, we're still asking for, it is our business in a way, I don't care about the nitty, you know, the details. But again, if, you know, we're investing both, you know, $22,000 into this festival, and I know that you guys are, but if you're making 50,000, then that's something that we need to talk about, you know what I mean? So again, it's what's good, what's the balancing act on what's good for the village, what's good for the committee of the festival. So again, having those numbers, I think 2024 revenue expenditures, I think that helps answer a lot of our questions where it looks like we're not picking on you guys and not questioning the value of the festival itself.
That was never the intent, it was a matter of just, again, having the dialogue, having the conversation. What's it costing you guys? Hey, this is what it's costing us. This is our job. Our job is to make sure that we have that understanding, and for you guys to, you know, take this opportunity to talk to us. I found this very beneficial, you guys. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
the explanations and I understand.
Much better, much better.
Well,
Yes.
Gwen and Mike, I know you came and picked up trash one year for us.
You know,
That was good, right?
no, I volunteered again, and Mike said, I am not picking up that again. I think it would be the right thing to do, but Mike was not in on it.
That was that's
After that bag
that's not healthy.
But
exploded.
although he did have a bag of food on him, but I didn't. But, you know,
We've been doing it all day though, before that. We know exactly what.
You, I picked up dirty diapers.
Communication is gonna be key, guys, you know, again,
Yeah.
you know, I would love to, the parade signs, and that's one thing I'll complain about, the parade signs around all weekend, so we got people like, how can I park here, can I park here? You know what I mean, so those do not park signs. Again, it's just the checks and balances, so do we have a contact person that we can go to and say, hey, fix this or do this, or, you know, I mean, let's work together, because, you know, when the parade signs are out and we did it, you know, we can't be nailing them on the poles because then we're invalidating, you know, we're breaking our own ordinance, that kind of thing. Let's just much like they allude to with the work plans, it's just that it's very good because it's okay, I gotta do this, it's time me if it's here. You know, it's good to just check it off the list and you move on. But again, you know, I wish we were back to the bungee jumping days, helicopter, on the boat, et cetera, but I did. Did you? I'd be the guy that snapped it or something. Shriner cars, when those guys do the burnouts, man, yeah, I hope you focus on them, I gotta get them in there.
They're expensive.
When they pull a Rockford,
Mhm.
Ferdinand the fireman, the next guy, it was good.
He burned that up.
Yeah.
He was funny.
And if there's something, you guys, that, kind of go back to that work plan thing, if there's something that we as council can do to say, hey, you guys, you know what? You know, those signs Mike was talking about, can somebody from council go ahead and take those signs up? Sometimes it's just a matter of just saying, hey, will you do this for us and tell us exactly what it is? I mean, please, comments as part of your partnership. I think that we can do that. I mean, just say, hey, can you do this? Can you do this?
We don't do signs.
I don't know, signs.
I don't know who plants them.
We don't know signs he's talking about, but.
There.
Yeah.
That's the question.
Then they're gone.
Oh, well,
If I'm wrong, but send an aerial view of the parade mapped out with checklists to her and chief every year prior to the parade that gets approved and then forwarded on to whoever. I'm pretty sure the DPW has the checklist that you're speaking of for the parade that has each thing mapped out.
yeah,
Check by
exactly. So
check.
then it's,
Am I
yeah.
correct?
You are correct. Yeah.
So those should have been told by us. Is what we're saying, right? But
I'm not sure what signs you were talking.
They're the no parking signs that we put up for parades.
Yeah, so we just put those up for the parade then,
Thank
and we
you,
do take those down.
thank you.
but they were up all weekend.
Well, we probably put them up on like before, on Friday when DPW, so then they just go pull the bags for the parade and then remove them.
But they weren't removed until Monday or Tuesday.
So that's.
So, because we're not, we don't pay DPW overtime to go remove
So
them.
That's what we could take.
Then it falls back on, let's get a committee member or a volunteer, then they need to pick picked up, you know what I mean, because that's the stuff.
You don't remember it, I'm looking at.
Well, you know, this,
I just never touched them because it's not my
Yeah,
property.
but again, that way, we have answers of who's
I mean, we
responsible.
can do that. I mean, we would have time after the parade.
it's not on the golf cart,
That, you just.
but,
And sometimes it's a matter of, you can do that, but you can do a lot of things besides that, and that's one of those things that, again, you've got people that are saying, hey, I know, it's tough to get volunteers, but I think that. I don't wanna say this, you know, when somebody says, hey, chip in for so-and-so's baby shower, you're like, oh, do I get $5, do I get $10, somebody says, give me $5 for the shower, what do? You give $5. The ambiguity is what's tough, but if you say to us, hey, these are the 4 projects we would like, the village council to help us with. Really? We can do something like that, absolutely.
okay, number one, Saturday before festival. Driving posts, setting up the snow fences, the barricades, everything up.
It's the challenge. I see you guys out there late and it's not easy.
You're absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, see they break fingernails, they get on.
Yeah, yes.
Um,
No, you're not.
I'm meticulous in just being, it's a pride thing, and as I'm down there, I do spend a lot of time there, because I'm like, I like stuff my face with, elephant ear, well, okay, but. I try to listen to what, people are saying, things like that, and, success sounds like the parade was really good this year. Again, trying to think, the fireworks, you know what I mean, I think we used to light them off in the back. And I know that may have changed just due to the.
We do it.
But they were better, and you hear a lot of that is, oh, they're too low here, I can't see past the trees, et cetera. So again, I'm the pessimist, I'm sorry. But let's, focus, okay, here's the viewing area, or here, the lit up here, or that kind of thing. Again, just get people, communicate with people better, and listen and fix things if we need them. Again, we try to keep it low cost, family kind of thing. I hate the, for better lack of term, the Chinese toy junk, the flashing lights and the junk in that tent. Again, that's things that, when you take the family down there, all the kids gonna be harping at mom and dad. So I can't afford to buy you, a $20 piece of garbage plastic, take that stuff out of there where it's more family friendly, to where, again, everybody can kind of benefit over that sort of thing.
It's
I would
easy
rather
to
see
say.
it. Yes.
It's
We
very
really
easy to
tried
say,
that.
but here's what it comes down to. If we eliminate the trinket type of guy, the guy that sells all the hats, and rents a 20 wide by 60 long space
Yeah.
for $500, here's $500, I don't have,
Right.
so,
The look. is-
oh my gosh, yeah.
But I mean, think about, the vendor line down this side used to be, full of
Yeah, and we're getting that when we
Trust
get
us,
it.
if it were to be a point where there's a waiting list, he's the first one out.
He's
that one away, he's at, I see when I have one can, like that same guy with the same boxes and everything in the boxes.
Yeah, this
Oh,
quite a ways. You know, think about our bathroom, you know, when you guys bring that on a porta johns. I'm embarrassed by our bathrooms down. Number one, they're blocked a lot of the time, but they're disgusting most of the part, you know what I mean? So if, you know, again, if you guys were a very successful festival, not that you aren't, but you know, we've got made some finances where you can invest maybe back into that kind of thing. I think that's sort of our questions, like what's in it for Blissfield? It should be a win-win on both sides, so. I guess
That's always our goal.
And I get it, yeah, it's just. Yeah.
It doesn't always work out
And we
financially.
really thought that
This past year.
this past year we would be able to finally do
You guys have
that,
had some
but then they
unfortunate.
like blew up in our face.
Yep, it's been ugly. We had the rain and we had to move to school, you know, COVID was ugly. You know, the carnival didn't show like, so yeah, I get it. You guys have had a very challenging few years and with a smaller volunteer base. You know, you can only do so much. Again, I expect that to appreciate that. But keep it up. Communicate, that's number one.
Gentleman, long ago, that helped with you. I think it was from Adrian.
It was large chunk of.
Yeah.
He no longer lives in the.
He lives over in Homer now.
Okay, what was his name?
Eric.
That's okay.
Yeah, and he's the one that had it right up here as far as, he knew where every fence post went, where all fences went. And it's a good thing I was paying attention because, yeah, it's not filming anymore, so it's like. It's up to me now to remember where all the fences are. Yeah. He also made me nervous too, because we're running to the skid steer one time and he was moving picnic tables. For some reason, I don't know, miscommunication or something, DPW didn't get down and move the picnic tables, so we ran into the skid steer. And moved them ourselves. Well, he took them around, not like through the large pavilion there, he took it around on the
By the
riverside.
riverside.
And that thing was just doing this, and he's got like 3 or 4 picnic tables, and I'm thinking, if you fall in, I'm not getting you. So
It's a good thing there were 8 footers.
All right, love Gary.
Well, thank you guys. Seriously, thank you.
Danielle, with our under the river water line replacement.
Yeah.
Is that gonna impact anything with?
We put it in the bid documents about the River Raven Festival and that they can't do work that week.
We have a water line that's gonna be replaced underneath the river.
Yeah, I prefer to not see it calling their holes or anything.
Yeah,
Go under, about where?
It goes under just south of the walking bridge. And it'll come out about where your fencing goes, that comes off that little street right there going towards the big timber frame
Pretty
pavilion.
much the yellow gate on this side too.
Yep.
The triangle that path goes through.
Yeah, they've been told that they have to, if they try to work before that, everything has to be cleaned up, no holes, no openings, nothing.
We don't need somebody breaking.
And we put that right in the bid document, so.
What's the dates of this year's festival?
That's love it, it's wow. That's July.
Right.
It's always the second full weekend of July, including Friday.
And I know there's a lot of different things trying to benefit from festivals, it's not. And we've already talked about how can we
Capitalize
capitalize
that.
on,
At the same weekend generally.
It's been hitting us.
it's been hitting us.
Hard to get like
Sometimes-
rental toilets.
Make sure we preserve. Oh, wait, we can.
But I feel like people are looking for things to do because that's no longer any, I know that's a big hit for Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
It's a huge hit.
There.
So I know I have a
Concerned
couple
about that,
friends
yes,
that
they
are
are.
home business, and they said it's almost a whole year. That's how they keep ahead, is that week leading up to that, yeah. So, I mean, we've already talked about how can we capitalize on that.
So Danielle, you said you had or not had the opportunity to talk with chief regarding these wages, this thing. I don't want to belabor that. Is that something that you plan to discuss? Like for the 25 festival. To see if there's any wiggle room in there or anything like that. With that number that they have.
So I was gonna talk to him because I couldn't find my notes on the hours he provided specifically. I did not plan to talk to him about what they provided for emergency services. And I certainly don't want to speak for chief, but this is our community and keeping it safe is very important to them and they take a lot of pride in that. So I think we just need to talk about, is that a fixed cost for any event that do we want that included in their expenses next year? What our river raising expenses are or not? Because I don't know that, like they're not, they do bring in some additional, there's some overtime and additional coverage because they want to make sure that if something does happen, and they also want to be proactive. I mean, you guys see all over the news, people are driving vehicles through parades and
This made me know though, because I did speak with him, knowing we were gonna talk about this tonight. Number one, he is 100% kind. He said he would love to see it grow to where they have to bring more in. But he said due to the slowness the last couple of years, some of the guys were sent home early, et cetera. So, you know, the numbers couldn't even be higher.
And he does try to watch that, but again, it's there, and I know they bring in outside, people to help with that, and we appreciate that, but at the end of the day, our police department is here to protect Blissfield, and that's what they're going to do for any and all events. And I do think that Chief does a really good job of making sure that he's not going overboard, but he's also making sure that he's got proper staffing to deal with any potential situations.
When we've been able to bring the sheriff's department in, chief is always, coordinating. with them.
He's been great.
And the higher security hasn't always been easiest to work with either, so I get that, and that it's a large cost and, you know, some of them are just there to do their job as a security guard, as, you know, making a buck, and that's what they're doing, so it's not, we did it.
I bought one guy lunch a couple times last year. Got him a drink. That came out of my pocket, so.
Well, I think like back when it was React,
And
we don't literally got rid of React because we were asked to do that by,
What's a React?
that's the company that we used to hire for
Well, that's-
security
that's
down
the name-
there. I
that's the
think
name.
that's what Michael was alluding to, he said the difficulty working with the groups. But that's why we don't have a specific group who we go back to every year, who knows the ins and outs of the festival and what security and parking restrictions and all that entails, because they did know all of that, but unfortunately, they were very difficult to work with, and we all came to an agreement that it was better for everyone if we just kind of moved on from that.
Trying to think of React as the kind of, the people who, when there's an accident, they will jump out of their cars and they have the flashlights for the little red cone and jump over out there. You know, that's what I think
Well, the
of.
one thing.
Their community service hours.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
became a
they're
problem
not
at the
bad.
fairgrounds.
I think that's the, running people through background checks or, you know.
Well, the ones we have, people we know, that really skill. Which,
Yeah,
Sorry.
we poured.
I'm like, oh, this is not safe in the 4-H check. I don't care where you put them, but that's not happening here.
I think, like you alluded to, a lot of the things that, you know, you guys have a lot that you do just to make the festival happen, but these other entities that come in, whether it's, you know, the fire department and that got Rodney in with the wiener dogs and, you know, the different groups, the tractables, that sort of thing, it just adds to it, but, you know, the softball tournament, like you said, I always thought that was part of the festival. The car show that used to be on Sundays, you know, I don't know if that was part of the festival, but that was just a separate entity. So I think it was a good learning experience, I guess, for me, or basis of knowledge that, you know, these other entities are sort of supplementing and supporting it as well.
still get their sponsorships, boy,
Yeah.
raise the
So,
sponsorships.
you know, maybe we reach out to see if we can get more entities to come in and join it, and I like that you thought the beard, yeah, exactly, and those are the critical things, yes, you know. You can't control it if the carnival doesn't show, but checks and balances, like, okay, you're paid or whatever, you guys are gonna be here, these are the rides that are gonna be here, all that sort of stuff, you know. Do we have the insurance for, you know, the beer tents, do we have the proper permitting so that we know that they're gonna happen? Because when that stuff fails at the 11th hour, that's what really kind of dampens the whole success and the feel of the festival itself.
But, and Katie, I appreciate you talking and getting those numbers. Thank you for doing that.
I was serious about the village setting something up. It's not gonna cost you anything. Advertise your events again, throw here.
You're right.
Yeah, brochures, flyers, whatever, signs.
Oh, yeah.
So 10 by 10, we'll put, I'll put you next
We
time.
gotta serve, get it served.
Water budget line items, this is what things cost. Do flyers. No, I do I like the DDA having a tent cut down there, say, here's the events, come back. So again, you guys could piggyback off, you know, and you'll time to say, you have your little tent here and you say, hey, come
People
July.
coming from,
Yes, they know how.
you know, Manchester or Ann Arbor, and they come and they all go to the festival, and then they see, oh, well, in November, there's gonna be this, sounds really fun, or there's Wassail,
I
or.
agree with that
Yep.
statement that you made earlier, that they may not do something that particular day, but it's a comeback kind of a thing.
Well, we've heard
Especially
that
when
from
it goes
business
back.
owners that, yeah, they say, well, they may not come now, but they'll come back.
Mhm. I was here for this,
Mhm.
and then they'll return, so.
And they remember good experiences and kind people and hometown feel, because you don't get that a lot of places. I mean, Blissfield has a fantastic community and lovely events, and it's very hometown, and that doesn't exist outside of small towns like this. I mean, people like that nostalgia, you know?
That's why I'm here. Sure.
A lot of people stop at the tent, we don't know, to tell us that they had a great day, so.
This is steel drums.
They're
Yeah.
expensive.
They cost us that money.
Yeah, they were expensive.
And then they were mean.
And then they were mean, and I told them, I'm sorry, I'm not hiring you this year because I can't afford you. Well, I'm gonna call your boss.
Okay.
Okay, let me switch to my other hat on. And they
Take the vendor hat
I said,
off,
well-
put the president hat on.
you're talking to my boss, so.
Well, a lot of people think it's a village function, which we're really not even
Yeah.
involved, other than a little bit of support, so, yeah. Thanks for your time.
But we've had some great. Great acts since, they've been gone. I mean. We had Toppermost, which is the Beatle tribute band. And they put on a 3-hour show for us. For less money than the steel drum band,
Dressed like the Beatles.
and dressed like the Beatles. The different eras, the the before time, when they wore black and white, and then the after, when they're.
First service,
They did bring back church service and like a musical thing now on Saturdays, right after the parade, and it was actually a huge brawl. It was really nice.
Well, the dance studio has their own
Yeah,
recital.
the dance
Did you hear me
studio
say
has their
that? I
recital
mean, that's
out
another
there.
group. It's always about getting people to come.
But the church thing really was a big hit. We told them, yeah, like we should bring this back, so.
And it's been. How long since we've had a price increase of anything that's.
I mean, that's even the thing, Rick tried to run a early bird special and said, like, if you turn it in by X date, then you'll save $10.
How'd that go?
Oh, no, I could not believe the comments on there. And you're talking $10, so this is why, like, everybody's like, oh, we'll raise your prices, yeah, it's easy to keep saying that, but. It. nobody
Doesn't
wants
pay
to
that
more for
$10,000
anything.
insurance
I
bill.
just raised my rates $5 a day, it would.
Yeah, it's.
Years ago, we had a rumor going around that the food vendors' prices went up substantially, and they did. They
We don't know
have
the
changed
starting
for
number.
years and years and years, and we lost a couple food vendors because of it, and
But they did not call you to confirm?
No, we told them right to their face
Yeah.
that we didn't increase the price and they wouldn't believe us.
so there's
I don't know what more we.
some of those things, you know, you have to deal with, and
There's a lot of rumors on things when you do a festival kind of a thing, and. You know, you can only get to the stores once in a while. In a small town, it does fly around.
No,
Anybody else got questions? Anything from you guys? Thank you. Comments? Do appreciate you.
We'll be in touch with you guys.
Yeah.
I would have to have a camping permit this year.
We'll see.
Thanks for.